It's time for the opening crack, the side show to the D&D show that we normally do, where we taste and rank some beer. How we doing tonight, fellas?
Oh, this is gonna be a good one.
We are slaying it tonight, Ross.
Slay. For all like the Gen Xers and Gen Zers out there, slay. I probably completely mess that up. Yeah, us millennials don't know what that means.
Nope.
It's like they're trying to talk to me, but I just don't understand. It's time for us to rank and talk about another brew. Brett, what do we have on deck tonight?
All right, tonight we have Dead Man's Run from Cosmic Eye Brewing out of Lincoln, Nebraska. So back-to-back Lincoln, Nebraska, coming in strong.
This is actually one of my more favorite beers out there right now. If I go somewhere and I see this, I will always pick up a 6-pack of this and try to have it around. Not only for me to drink, but so I can like share some with my friends, because this is a solid all-around beer.
So this one, we found a couple different packaging designs on it. The one that we have is a red label all the way around it. There's some white versions of it. Just looks like they've been tweaking it a little bit over time. And the beer description coming from Cosmic Eye, this American-style lager is our version of a beer, made with 50% corn and late additions of Saz hops. It's crisp, light, and refreshing.
I mean, I think that's pretty accurate when we start talking about taste. Like 50% corn in that malt is going to typically lead to a cleaner, crisper type taste to it. And I think it's a nice, easy-flowing beer.
It's like clear. It tastes really smooth and just fresh.
Right. And I think it's impressive how clear it is, considering that it's an unfiltered beer, too.
Yeah.
I think, too, that you can smell the malt in it, right? Like, in comparison to some of the other beers we've done, but it's not, overly malty. And I think that comes, like they said, 50-50. It is a beer. I love that description, because as I drink this, I'm like, oh, yeah, like, this is a great beer.
It's very drinkable. It's great, yeah.
But it tastes like beer.
It does, for sure. Hops, it is fairly hops light. You don't pick up a ton of like the citrus, floral, fruity notes that you tend to get when in hop-heavy beers like IPAs and things like that. But I think that's okay. But it definitely plays into their beer drinking style for this.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm not 100% certain like what the Saz style of hops is, what that kind of brings to the table. But to Ross's point, like it's not like a Citra or something like that really punches you with some of those citrus or floral or even piney notes. You don't pick any of that up from the Saz hops here.
Right. And I think again, going back to them saying this is almost a beer drinker's beer. The ABV plays into that. It's a 5% beer, so it's very similar to your other domestics that are out there. And then that final note on the kind of the taste list that we go to is the yeastiness of it. And you don't get a lot of yeast in this, but you don't typically on very drinkable beers either.
I would say this is a great one for somebody who frequents domestic beers that wants to try out a craft beer. This is a very approachable one for you.
It's definitely like that gateway beer. Like if you want to get into craft beers but don't really know where to start, this is a good one for that. We did take a look at the color. The funny thing is, being completely honest to all of our listeners out there, we usually drink from mugs, like beer steins.
Not in here. Not clear.
Which is hilarious when we go to look at the color of a beer and we're like, whoops. And so we did pour this into a clear glass and took a look at this one, and it does skew to be a lighter color. It's a very bright color to it. Again, going back to the malt, 50% corn is going to lead to a brighter looking beer. Taste and mouthfeel are kind of our last little indicator here. Again, for the 100th time already in this one, a beer drinker's beer. This is a nice, crisp, clean beer.
Yeah, it's pretty light, mouthfeel wise, right? Like you can taste it. I would say there are some beers that you either kind of taste in the front or you taste in the back. I would say that I can kind of like feel this one all the way across the palate, not necessarily just heavy in the front or bites you in the back. So it's a full mouthfeel, but it is a light, refreshing, crisp beer is how I would kind of describe it.
All right, let's hop into our D&D connections, boys. Where are you finding this? What's it called? Let's jump into the fantasy realm here.
Well, Brett's pointing at me, so I assume that means that I'm going to go first.
You go.
So we are finding this beer buried in the Warlock's Crypt in Faerun at Vecna's Eye. It's going to be the name of the pub. And I've decided that the current Warlock in charge at the Crypt, he's going to rename this one instead of the Dead Man's Run. He has renamed this the Chill Touch.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
Nice.
Cast a spell on you.
I do like that. For me, just outside of Daggerford, there is a retired necromancer, if you will, who is creating a homebrew. He walks around with a couple of his dead bodies, if you will, as he tries to peddle his zombie zest lager.
I like it.
So that's a nice one. Just
I don't want to know where the zest comes from.
Yeah, don't worry about it. No, don't ask, don't tell. Right? Just a little nod to the Dead Man's Run.
So I'm going polar opposite from you guys. We're going to El Terrell for mine. And instead of going the Dead Man's route, we are going to the High Hall, the giant temple in El Terrell. And this is a special ceremonial beer that they serve after a funeral. And it's called The Journey.
Ooh,
The Journey.
that's fantastic.
Yeah, light, crisp, send you on your way.
Oh, man,
Dang,
I wish
I
we
feel
would have
like-
known about this when we played Descent. Like,
Yeah.
this would be perfect.
Dang
That's
it, now I
fantastic.
feel like mine's not as good.
Well, we can go
it's
back there.
fine.
I mean, you
We
could
can,
just
that's true.
like try to raise yours from the dead, and let's see what round 2 would be like.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, yay or nay, boys, on Dead Man's Run from Cosmic Eye Brewing.
I'd give this a big thumbs up. Yeah, this is a really nice, clean, smooth beer, like we've talked about 100 times already. Really approachable. If you're getting into craft beers, this is a good one to lead you on the path. It's not going to punch you in the face by any means. It's a smooth, nice beer.
Agreed. This is definitely one, too, that I feel like I could sit down and have a few of, which I can't necessarily say about all of them that we've tried. So this is one definitely I could say, hey, you want to split a 6-pack and do half of it, or, the whole thing. So
Yeah, it's a lot more approachable than that pistachio beer, which you could just keep the 6-pack of.
or the pickle beer. Hey, let's quit throwing punches. God
So
damn it.
So the first time in 2 beers, I am also going to give this one a thumbs up, which is going to give Cosmic Eye the clean sweep in terms of the opening crack crew here. So well done. I agree with everything you guys said. I love this beer. I'm the one that brought it tonight. We also need to talk about quick our challenge rating for this. So Brett, where would you give this on our scale of CR 1 to 10?
I would give this a. This is kind of hard. I think, a 6 or a 7 probably. Originally, I was thinking more like a 10, but I think it's mellow enough that it's pretty approachable for anybody. Kind of middle of the road.
Phil?
So initially, when I was thinking of this, I'm like, oh, this is super easy to drink, super low level. And then I got to thinking about it, and you know what? You can taste the malt, and it's still clean mouthfeel, but it's a full mouthfeel. And I don't think it falls as low as 1, 2, 3. I would probably put this at a 5, leaning towards a 6. I think that's where I'd probably land it.
That's where I was thinking too. I was gonna say 6, and for all those same reasons. I think we get lost a little bit sometimes that we like craft beer.
Agreed.
But if we're talking for your average person who probably spends their time drinking like Bud Light, Coors Light, those types of beer, this is going to be a little bit higher on the scale. So I think a 6 is a 6 is.
We've never said that
appropriate.
ever.
We try to avoid saying Bush and talking about Bush on this show. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. Brett, if you want to know more about, if our listeners want to know more about Cosmic Eye Brewing, where would they go to find this out?
It is cosmiceye.beer online, or head on over to Lincoln, Nebraska to Cosmic Eye Brewing.
I mean, good on them for locking down the Cosmic
Dot
Eye
beer.
beer. Dang right. Good for them. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Opening Crack. Stay tuned for more beer reviews in the future. You can check out our regular show, Bards and Barrels, anywhere podcasts can be found. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bards and Barrels. But until next time, may your dice be hot and your beer be cold.